The massive alien ship hung in Earth's orbit like a gleaming silver knife, its hull reflecting the sunlight in ways that made it seem both beautiful and threatening. Inside the United Nations building in New York, Commander Tom Miller adjusted his dress uniform for the 10th time in as many minutes. "Stop fidgeting," whispered General Roberts beside him. "You're representing Earth's combined military forces. Act like it." Tom nodded, but his heart kept racing. After decades of wondering if we were alone in the universe, humanity was about to have its first official meeting with an advanced alien civilization. The Federation, as they called themselves, had made contact 3 weeks ago, and this was the culmination of intense preparations. The chamber doors opened, and 3 alien beings walked in. They were tall, with bluish-gray skin and 4 arms each. Their ambassador, who introduced himself as Ambassador First Rank, wore what appeared to be some kind of ceremonial armor that shifted colors as he moved. The initial greetings went well enough. The aliens spoke perfect English thanks to their advanced translation technology. Everything was going smoothly until they reached the topic of military cooperation and defense. "We have reviewed your military capabilities," Ambassador First Rank stated, his upper set of arms gesturing at the holographic display he had brought. "They are primitive." Tom felt his face grow hot. "Our weapons are highly effective for our level of technological development," he defended. The ambassador's 4 eyes blinked in what seemed like amusement. "You still use chemical propellants and metal projectiles. Even your most advanced missiles rely on explosion-driven force. In the greater galaxy, such weapons are considered children's toys." General Roberts cleared his throat. "Perhaps you could demonstrate what you consider advanced weaponry." The ambassador activated another hologram, showing weapons that fired streams of pure energy, shields that could bend space itself, and ships that could manipulate gravity as a weapon. "This is merely our basic military technology. Our advanced systems would be beyond your comprehension. Yet you're here offering us membership in your federation," Tom pointed out. "Surely our species has something to offer." "Oh yes," the ambassador's skin rippled in what they had learned was their version of a condescending smile. "Your entertainment media is quite fascinating, and some of your food items, especially what you call pizza, have great potential for trade. But military cooperation, I'm afraid you're several centuries too primitive for that." Tom watched as the human diplomats tried to salvage the situation, but the damage was done. The Federation saw Earth as nothing more than a quaint civilization that might be good for cultural exchange and maybe some basic trade. They made it clear that Earth would have no say in military matters and would need to rely on Federation protection. As the meeting concluded, Tom overheard 2 of the alien delegates speaking to each other, their translator still active. "Can you believe they still use gunpowder, actual chemical explosions to launch projectiles? Indeed, it's like finding a civilization that thinks throwing rocks is high technology." Tom's hands clenched into fists. Humanity had fought its way up from caves to space in a mere few thousand years. They'd survived plagues, wars, climate disasters, and their own destructive tendencies. Now these aliens wanted to pat them on the head like children. As he watched the alien delegation depart, an idea began forming in his mind. If they thought human weapons were primitive, maybe that was exactly what they needed. After all, humanity's greatest strength had always been its ability to surprise. "Sir," his aide approached with a tablet, "the Joint Chiefs want to know our next move." Tom took one last look at the departing alien ship through the window. "Tell them to get me everything we have on experimental weapons development. And I mean everything. Even the weird stuff we never thought would work. It's time to show the Federation what human ingenuity really means." He had no idea that his search would lead him to one of the most ridiculous weapons in human history, and that it would change humanity's place in the galaxy forever. 2 weeks after the disastrous first contact meeting, Tom found himself in an abandoned military storage facility in Nevada. The place hadn't been opened since 1989, and the dust made him sneeze as his team broke through the old security doors. "You really think we'll find something useful in here, Commander?" asked Jack, his weapons specialist, shining his flashlight around the vast space, filled with crates and forgotten equipment. The report said this facility was used for testing alternative warfare concepts during the Cold War, Tom replied, checking his tablet. Some of the projects were so weird they got buried instead of properly classified. The team spread out, opening crates and boxes. Most contained exactly what you'd expect from an 80s military warehouse. Outdated equipment, forgotten prototype weapons, and enough paperwork to fill a library. "Commander, you need to see this," called Mary, their research scientist. Her voice echoed from deep within the facility. Tom found her standing in front of a massive shipping container. The lock had rusted away years ago, and the door hung open. Inside, stacked neatly in rows, were thousands of colorful plastic objects. "Are those toy guns?" Jack asked, picking one up. It was made of bright red plastic with a yellow trigger. Mary was already scanning one with her equipment. "Not just any toy guns. These are prototype advanced rubber band guns. According to these files, they were part of something called Project Rebound." Tom picked one up, feeling its lightweight construction. A rubber band was still attached, though age had made it brittle. Why would the military be interested in toy rubber band guns? "That's the interesting part," Mary said, flipping through a dusty folder. "They were testing non-lethal weapons for riot control, but something weird happened during the space tests." "Space tests? They tested toy guns in space." Jack laughed. "It says here they launched some into orbit as part of a larger weapons test. The results were classified immediately." Mary's eyes widened as she read further. "Commander, according to these readings, the rubber bands were somehow passing through solid matter in zero gravity." Tom frowned. "That's impossible. Even in space, basic physics still applies." "Look at this," Mary pointed to her scanner display. "The molecular structure of these rubber bands is unlike anything I've seen. They used some kind of special manufacturing process, something about mixing the rubber with a new compound they'd discovered." Jack was examining more of the toys. "They're all marked Mark 7 and have these weird silver strips along the barrel." Tom's mind raced back to the alien ambassador's words about human weapons being primitive. "Mary, what would happen if we tried these in space now?" "Hard to say. The rubber bands would need to be replaced, but the guns themselves seem perfectly preserved. The weird thing is, looking at these readings, the compound they used seems to have gotten stronger over time, not weaker." A crazy idea started forming in Tom's mind. "Pack all of these up, every single one, and get me everything you can find about Project Rebound." "Sir," Jack looked concerned, "you're not seriously thinking of..." "The aliens think we're primitive. Fine. Let's show them something so primitive it circles right back around to advanced." Tom picked up another gun, testing its mechanism. "Get me a fresh rubber band." Mary found one in her bag and handed it to him. Tom loaded the toy gun, aimed at a metal cabinet 20 feet away, and pulled the trigger. The rubber band shot out with a snap. It went straight through the cabinet, leaving a perfect hole. The team stared in shocked silence. "Well," Tom said finally, a grin spreading across his face, "I think we just found our ridiculous weapon. Now we just need to figure out how it works, and more importantly, how to make more." As they packed up their discovery, none of them noticed the small rubber band that had passed through the cabinet continuing its journey, phasing through wall after wall of the facility, still going strong. The aliens were about to learn that sometimes the most primitive weapons could be the most dangerous, especially when humans were involved. The research facility buzzed with activity as scientists hunched over their equipment, studying the strange toy weapons. 3 days had passed since their discovery, and the results kept getting weirder. "This can't be right," muttered Mary, running another test. She barely slept, her lab coat wrinkled and coffee cups scattered around her workspace. "It simply can't be right." Tom walked in, carrying fresh coffee for the team. What can't be right? Mary pointed to her screen, where complex equations scrolled past. The rubber bands. We've been testing them in the vacuum chamber. They're not just passing through matter. They're actually ignoring most of the laws of physics. Explain it to me like I'm 5, Tom said, pulling up a chair. Okay, Mary took a deep breath. You know how the aliens have those fancy shields. They work by manipulating energy fields and creating barriers in space-time. But these rubber bands, they don't interact with space-time the normal way. Jack walked in, carrying a tablet with test results. It gets better. We found out why these specific rubber bands are special. It's the manufacturing process from the 80s. What about it? Back then, a factory in Ohio accidentally contaminated a batch of rubber with a weird mineral they found in a meteorite. The military bought the whole lot for testing. But here's the crazy part. The contamination has been growing stronger over the decades. Mary nodded excitedly. The mineral is some kind of quantum catalyst. In normal gravity, the effect is tiny. But in zero, or when the rubber band is moving at high speed, it creates a kind of quantum tunneling effect. Tom picked up one of the rubber bands, examining it closely. So you're telling me that we accidentally created quantum weapons from toys using contaminated rubber? Exactly. Mary pointed to another screen showing test footage. Look at this. When we fire them at the replica alien shield we built based on their public specifications, the rubber bands pass right through. The shields are designed to stop energy and matter. But these rubber bands are technically neither when they're in their quantum state. It's like trying to stop a ghost with a wall, Jack added. The bands just ignore the shields completely. Tom sat back, processing this information. Can we make more? Mary shook her head. The original mineral is all gone. But, she hesitated, we found something interesting in the old files. The factory that made these, before it shut down, they made millions of rubber bands. They're probably still out there, in old toy stores, office buildings. You mean we need to track down 30-year-old rubber bands? Tom asked incredulously. Not just that, Jack chimed in. We need to modify these toy guns too. The silver strips along the barrel. They're accidentally perfect quantum stabilizers. We need both components. Tom stood up, his mind racing with possibilities. Start a quiet search. Check old storage units, forgotten toy stores, anywhere these might have ended up. And get our best engineers working on reproducing these guns. There's one more thing, Mary said, her voice serious. We've been tracking that first rubber band you fired at the facility. It's still going. Still going. It's been 3 days. Yes, and it's currently somewhere in the Pacific Ocean, still maintaining quantum state, still passing through everything in its path. We think it might keep going until it hits something else in a quantum state. Tom stared at the innocent-looking toy gun on the table. So you're telling me we've accidentally created unstoppable quantum projectiles that could theoretically keep going forever unless they hit something quantum? Pretty much, Jack grinned. Imagine the aliens' faces when we show them our primitive weapons. Tom picked up the toy gun, a smile slowly spreading across his face. Get me everything you can find. Every rubber band. Every toy gun. And Mary, find out exactly what would happen if one of these hit an alien ship's quantum drive. The scientists shared a look. Sometimes the most powerful weapons weren't the ones you spent billions developing. Sometimes they were the ones you discovered by accident, hidden away in a dusty warehouse, waiting for their moment to change the course of human history. And that's your plan. General Roberts stared at Tom in disbelief. You want to defend Earth with toy guns. The briefing room was packed with military leaders from around the world. On the table in front of them lay one of the modified rubber band guns, now painted in tactical black with improved sights and a reinforced launching mechanism. Sir, I know how it sounds, Tom replied, picking up the weapon. But these test results don't lie. He aimed at the thick steel plate they'd set up at the end of the room. The rubber band shot out with a distinctive twang. Everyone watched as it passed cleanly through the steel, then the concrete wall behind it, and continued its journey through the mountain base. "That's the 7th rubber band we've lost inside the mountain," Mary commented from her position near the monitors. "They're probably halfway to the Earth's core by now." The room erupted in excited chatter. A Chinese general raised his hand. "How many of these weapons do we have?" "We've located about 50,000 of the original guns," Jack reported, checking his tablet. "As for the special rubber bands, we've tracked down roughly 2 million. Teams are still searching old warehouses and storage facilities." 2 million shots, Tom said, each one capable of passing through any known shield or material. "And according to our calculations, they'll keep going until they hit something operating on a quantum level, like an alien ship's drive core." "What about production?" asked another officer. "Can we make more?" Mary stepped forward. "We can't replicate the rubber bands. The original mineral is gone, but we've improved the gun design. The new version is more accurate and has a faster firing rate. We're calling it the QRG-1, Quantum Rubber Gun." "This is insane," General Roberts muttered, but there was a hint of a smile on his face. "We're going to fight an advanced alien civilization with toys." "That's exactly why it might work," Tom explained. "Their entire defense system is built around stopping advanced energy weapons and conventional projectiles. They've never encountered anything like this because no advanced civilization would ever think to try it." The element of surprise, a British admiral nodded approvingly. "But what about delivery systems? We can't just have soldiers floating in space shooting rubber bands." Jack pressed a button, and a hologram appeared showing a modified satellite. "We've designed orbital platforms that can hold 5,000 rounds each. They're completely automated and can target any ship that enters their range." "And the best part," Mary added, "the alien scans show them as simple communication satellites. The quantum signature of the rubber bands doesn't show up on their sensors." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Earth had stumbled upon a weapon that could potentially pierce any defense in the galaxy, and it had been sitting in a warehouse for decades, forgotten among children's toys. "How long until we can deploy?" General Roberts asked. "The first batch of orbital platforms will be ready in 2 weeks," Tom replied. "We're calling it Operation Snapback." "Snapback," someone snickered. "Well, we considered Operation Rubber Band. But that sounded even more ridiculous," Jack grinned. General Roberts stood up, his expression serious despite the absurdity of the situation. "Get it done. And not a word of this leaves this room. If the aliens find out what we're planning, they'd never believe it anyway," Tom finished. "That's our advantage. No advanced civilization would ever believe we're planning to defend Earth with toy guns." As the meeting dispersed, Tom stayed behind, looking at the modified weapon. Somewhere out there, a massive alien fleet was probably preparing to show Earth its place in the galaxy. They would come expecting to find a primitive civilization with primitive weapons. Instead, they would find humanity at its most dangerous, armed with something so ridiculous it just might work. "Sir," Mary called from the door. "The first batch of orbital platforms is ready for inspection." Tom nodded, tucking the gun under his arm. It was time to prepare Earth's most unconventional defense system ever. And somehow, he had a feeling it was going to work perfectly. The alien fleet appeared exactly 1 month after the first contact meeting. 50 ships, each larger than Earth's largest aircraft carrier, emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation. Their silver hulls gleamed in the sunlight as they approached Earth's orbit. In the underground command center, Tom watched the massive holographic display showing the fleet's approach. Around him, military personnel from around the world monitored their stations, trying to hide their nervous energy. "They're broadcasting," announced the communications officer. "Playing it now." Ambassador First Rank's voice filled the room. "People of Earth, your continued defiance of Federation authority cannot be tolerated. Surrender now and accept your proper place as a protected primitive species, or face the consequences. Tom pressed the response button. This is Commander Miller. Earth respectfully declines your offer. A pause. Your primitive weapons cannot harm our ships. This is your final warning. Tom looked at the tactical display. The orbital platforms were in position, hidden among Earth's legitimate satellites, each one loaded with quantum rubber bands, waiting for the signal. All stations report ready, Jack announced from his post. Operation Snapback is go. Tom took a deep breath. Let's show them what primitive weapons can do. Execute Pattern Alpha. The first alien ship moved forward, its weapons charging with a visible purple glow. Before it could fire, 20 orbital platforms activated simultaneously. The modified rubber band guns, now operating in the vacuum of space, began firing. Through the high-resolution cameras, they watched as hundreds of quantum-state rubber bands streaked toward the alien vessel. The ship's shields flared brilliantly and did absolutely nothing as the rubber bands passed straight through them. Direct hits, Mary called out, monitoring the quantum sensors. Multiple penetrations detected. The alien ship suddenly went dark, its quantum drive core disrupted by the impacts. It began drifting, powerless in space. By the eternal stars came a shocked transmission from the alien fleet. What kind of weapons are these? Instead of responding, Tom ordered the next wave. 30 platforms targeted the next group of ships. The scene repeated itself. Advanced alien shields proving useless against Earth's most ridiculous weapon. Their ships are breaking formation, Jack reported with a grin. They don't know where the attacks are coming from. On the main screen, they watched as the mighty alien fleet fell into chaos. Ships tried to dodge the invisible threat, some colliding with each other in their panic. Every time their sensors detected Earth weapons, they raised their most powerful shields, only to have simple rubber bands pass right through them. We're receiving multiple surrender signals, communications announced, including one from the flagship. Tom allowed himself a small smile. Put them through. Ambassador First Rank's face appeared on screen, his 4 eyes wide with disbelief. How? What are you using against us? Oh, just some primitive Earth weapons, Tom replied casually. Nothing an advanced civilization would ever need to worry about. But our shields, nothing can penetrate our quantum shields. Apparently something can. Tom held up one of the rubber band guns. Would you like to discuss Earth's position in the Federation again? The alien ambassador stared at the toy-like weapon in horror. That's impossible. You're using children's toys as weapons. Sometimes the simplest solutions are the best ones, Tom replied. Now about those terms of surrender. As the negotiations began, Mary approached Tom with a tablet. Sir, we're tracking all the rubber bands that missed their targets. They're still going, heading out into deep space. Mark their trajectories, Tom ordered. Something tells me we might need to warn other alien civilizations about some incoming primitive weapons. The command center broke into laughter, the tension of the battle finally breaking. Earth had just won its first interstellar battle using modified toys from the 1980s. As ridiculous as it was, it had worked perfectly. And somewhere out in space, thousands of quantum rubber bands continued their endless journey, a testament to humanity's knack for turning the absurd into the extraordinary. In the grand meeting hall of the Federation's Central Space Station, alien scientists from a dozen worlds huddled around tables covered with Earth's rubber band guns. 3 days had passed since the battle, and the Federation's brightest minds still couldn't explain how they worked. This makes no sense, declared the lead Federation scientist, his tentacles waving in frustration. The quantum mechanics involved are elementary school physics on Earth, Tom finished, trying not to smile. He stood with Mary and Jack, watching the aliens examine their primitive weapons. A blue-skinned scientist holding a rubber band up to a scanner spoke up. The quantum tunneling effect should be impossible with such basic materials, yet we've confirmed these are just rubber, with trace amounts of an unknown mineral. Mary stepped forward. We call it the Ohio effect, she said, named after the factory where the contaminated rubber bands were made. Sometimes the simplest accidents lead to the biggest discoveries. The Federation's Grand Council had convened an emergency session to discuss Earth's new status. The chamber was packed with representatives from hundreds of worlds, all watching the proceedings with intense interest. Ambassador First Rank, now considerably more respectful, addressed the council. The humans have demonstrated technology that bypasses our most advanced defensive systems. While their method is unusual, its effectiveness cannot be denied. Unusual, snorted a tentacled delegate. They defeated our fleet with toys, office supplies. How are we supposed to maintain galactic order when humans can weaponize anything? That's exactly why we should welcome them as full members, argued another delegate, this one floating in a containment field. Their unique perspective could be invaluable. Tom stepped up to the speaking platform when called. Earth doesn't seek to dominate or threaten anyone. We simply want to be treated as equals. Yes, our methods might seem strange to you, but isn't that diversity what makes the Federation strong? The council chambers erupted in discussion. Several military representatives were examining the rubber band guns with professional interest. Others were frantically calculating the implications of quantum-state rubber bands still traveling through space from the battle. There's another matter. Mary addressed the council. Those rubber bands we fired, they're still going. According to our calculations, they'll keep traveling until they hit something operating on a quantum level. The chamber went silent. You mean? One delegate started. Yes, Jack confirmed. There are now thousands of quantum-state rubber bands flying through space at near-light speed, capable of penetrating any known shield. We suggest updating space traffic warnings accordingly. The council burst into chaos again. Some delegates found the situation hilarious, while others saw the strategic implications. A few were already trying to negotiate for rubber band defense technology. Order, called the council leader, their crystalline form glowing brightly. It seems we must reconsider Earth's position in the Federation. Their innovative approach to warfare cannot be ignored. Tom stepped forward again. Earth would be happy to share our defense technology with our Federation allies. Though I should warn you, we have limited supplies of the special rubber bands. Limited supplies of the most effective weapon ever discovered. Ambassador First Rank asked incredulously. Well, Tom shrugged, we are still finding more in old storage rooms and toy stores. You'd be surprised where they turn up. The council chambers filled with laughter, some genuine, some nervous. The idea that one of the most powerful weapons in the galaxy was literally gathering dust in Earth's warehouses was both amusing and terrifying. As the council prepared to vote on Earth's new status, Tom watched the alien scientists still puzzling over the rubber band guns. Sometimes the best defense wasn't the most advanced technology, but the most unexpected one. And humanity, it seemed, had mastered the art of the unexpected. Sir, Jack whispered, checking his tablet. We just got word from Earth. They found another warehouse full of the special rubber bands. In Detroit this time. Tom smiled. Earth's position in the galaxy was about to change dramatically, all thanks to a manufacturing accident and some forgotten toys. It was perhaps the most human victory possible. 1 year after the rubber band incident, Earth had become one of the most respected members of the Federation. The United Earth Embassy on the Federation's central station had a unique feature, a massive rubber band gun mounted above its entrance, symbolizing humanity's unconventional path to galactic recognition. Tom stood at the embassy's window, watching ships from hundreds of worlds pass by. Below his office, a group of alien children played with regular rubber band guns. They had become the most popular toys in the galaxy, though none had the special quantum properties of Earth's accidental superweapon. Commander Miller, his assistant called. The Federation Defense Council is ready for your presentation. Tom gathered his materials and headed to the council chamber. The room was packed with military leaders from across the galaxy, all eager to learn from Earth's primitive expertise. As you can see, Tom explained, pointing to his holographic display. Humanity's strength isn't in creating the most advanced technology. It's in finding unexpected uses for simple things. We call it thinking outside the box. A reptilian general raised a clawed hand. Is it true that humans once used pressurized water as weapons? Super soakers. Tom laughed. Yes, and after the rubber band success, we're investigating their potential quantum properties too. The chamber filled with murmurs. Ever since the rubber band revelation, every human toy or simple tool was viewed with a mixture of fear and fascination by the galactic community. Mary, now Earth's chief science officer for the Federation, entered the chamber with exciting news. We've finally tracked all the rubber bands from the battle, she announced. Most are still traveling through space, but 3 of them hit quantum drives on previously unknown alien ships at the galaxy's edge. Hostile ships, someone asked. Pirates, Mary confirmed. They were quite surprised when their advanced cloaking systems were defeated by, well, Earth office supplies. Jack finished, having just arrived with more reports. The pirate leader apparently surrendered immediately when he learned what hit them. Said he wasn't going to mess with a civilization that could weaponize anything. Earth's reputation had grown almost mythical. Stories spread about humans turning everyday objects into powerful weapons. Some were true, most were exaggerated, but all added to humanity's new status as the Federation's unpredictable innovators. The Federation had even established a new research division, the Human Ingenuity Studies Department. Their job was to examine simple Earth items and determine if they had hidden potential. So far, they'd found 3 more quantum accidents in various human products. The universe is a strange place, Tom addressed the council. You all sought advancement through complexity. We humans sometimes find it through simplicity. Together, we're stronger for these different approaches. As the meeting concluded, Tom received an urgent message. Another warehouse had been discovered, this time in Australia. Inside were prototypes of something called quantum yo-yos, another forgotten 1980s experiment. Should we tell the Federation? Jack asked. Tom watched an alien child outside playing with a regular rubber band gun, their face filled with joy at such a simple toy. Let's wait, he smiled. The galaxy's still getting used to the rubber bands. No need to shock them with quantum yo-yos just yet. As he walked back to the embassy, Tom passed a new addition to the Federation's Central Museum, a display case containing one of the original rubber band guns from the Nevada facility. The plaque read, "The most ridiculous weapon ever, and how it changed the galaxy." Earth had found its place among the stars not through overwhelming force or advanced technology, but through the uniquely human ability to turn the simple into the extraordinary. And somewhere out in the vast expanse of space, thousands of quantum rubber bands continued their endless journey, a testament to humanity's knack for making the ridiculous work. The universe, it seemed, had learned an important lesson. Never underestimate a species that could turn toys into superweapons, because sometimes the most powerful forces in the galaxy were also the most absurd. And humanity was just getting started.